Mike Impact. Too shy to say what you want to, losing the chance to say something constantly? Send us your stories as K-Poppin picks up the mic on Mondays with Mike Impact. The handsome, biggest personality in the world, Marshall, joins us to help you. Hello, Marshall.
Hi, how are you?
Look at that hair. You got a haircut.
I did. I got a new fresh fade. I got it over the weekend.
Yeah, because you had a party over the weekend.
Yes, I did. My little pose party. It's the fourth one now already, which is crazy. Our first one was last summer in June when I released my album. It was just supposed to be a little simple like album release party, but then it ended up being this it was such a good experience and everyone had such a great time that the owners of the club were like, do you want to make this like a thing? Yeah, like an actual event. And I was like, sure. So yeah, it's all right. We're already on our fourth one, and another slew of interesting characters came and stopped by the party because a lot of my friends this time around were out of town. So many people were out of town. They were at like Coachella. They're abroad doing all this sort of stuff. So we're in like Busan. So I was like, okay, cool. So I just invited some other friends of mine and they brought their friends, and yeah, it was a good event.
I for those of you who would ever like to check it out, because I was going to do it too, but he goes on stage at 2 a.m. and I had a 6 a.m. meeting. Yeah. And so I was like, and I was really close. I was like, if I was like, 3 years younger in like, my teens.
Well, we're 21.
Exactly.
So we're just out of our teens.
Exactly. Just out of our teens. That 2 in front is a little bit harder.
Right.
I would have pulled an all-nighter, but yeah, no. So I totally told him the entire day. I was like, Friday.
Yeah.
You need to have a party.
We're going to have more, so don't you worry. I think the next one might be on a Saturday, so hopefully,
please.
If you're not doing anything Sunday morning, then
of
you
course.
should be good.
No, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But for those of you who ever want to check it out, and if you're like here and you do check out Marshall's, social media account that he does post, he always ends up inviting a lot of hot up and rising artists too.
Yeah. So this time we had, I kind of focused more on the R&B arena of underground music in Korea. We had this artist named Alice Vicious, we had another artist named Junie, and another artist named Horim, and they're all like different types of like R&B. So it was really fun. Like there are other musicians there that are already like in the music sphere, and it's just like very 다양해, so very diverse. Thank you. You had like anyone from like Wonder Girls Yin to Uneducated Kid to just like rando people that you would never imagine them to be there. But they were all enjoying it for the sake of music and for the sake of art. It was a good time.
Well, and this is why I've always tried to go, because whenever Marshall does throw these parties, he does try to go for the diversity. So, like, I get a chance to, even just seeing in his feed, there's this kind of DJ, like, that's pretty hot these days. Of course, he's going to be performing, too. So every time I do see his feed, I'm just like, please be on a weekend.
Yeah, so, you don't want to miss the next one.
Exactly. The next one is must go. I'm gonna specifically like make an outfit just for Pose Party.
Yes. I mean, that's basically what I do. It's an event. You're throwing an event. Everything is an event, including your outfit. So I always tell people to like, just come dressed comfortably, but also dress to impress.
Exactly. Make sure, because there's going to be tons of flashes all around.
Yes.
Okay, so we pick up the mic for you each and every week, and Marshall helps us out. We've been getting a lot of fun updates and tips and stuff like that. So we have our next story that came in. So Marshall, could you please take it away?
Yes. Our first story was sent in by Cam Sierra from Malaysia.
There we go.
Mike Impact, I need help. My colleague always has a morning sinus, so he occasionally will sneeze quite loud without covering his mouth. Every time he does that, an unpleasant smell will release as well. Oh my God. I'm suffering here. I only sat behind him, and you guys can imagine how terrible the situation is. I feel like crying every time it happens. I want to cover my nose when he does that, but I'm scared I'll offend him.
Oh no.
Please give me an idea. FYI, I'm just an intern here, and he's a full-time employee, and also my mentor. So, yeah, when I read this, I was like, oh my God, there's so much. First of all, you have the sneezing, which can be, shocking sometimes. And then you have the bad breath.
Yeah.
AKA halitosis, AKA, people die around you, I get it. We've all been there to a certain extent. I've had bad breath. We've all had bad breath. Morning breath is especially bad in the morning. But there's also different layers because you have someone who, you're just an intern. You're just a lowly peon in the ladder of things. And he's kind of like your mentor. And so I always say, depending on how close this person is, like, is this a mentor that has brought you to this company, or is it someone who is kind of guiding you, or is it someone that you've known from beforehand and you guys have a good relationship and you guys communicate really well? I don't know. So I don't know the details of the situation, but depending on what the details are, I think you do different things accordingly.
Okay. So just for this, I mean, because, it's not like you can give them mouthwash or a mint.
Right. I mean, you could.
You could,
yeah.
But...
In would you like a mint? But, just kind of, but then offer it to everybody else in the office.
Yeah.
There's that way. But it's kind of like, look, before we get to that, I just want to go over the top 3 worst smells.
Oh, okay. So
really quick.
So things that people just can't stand.
So number 3, cigarettes.
Oh, so the thing is, I have a thing. There are certain people that they really like on their breath. The cigarette smell never, it just
does not go away.
It doesn't go away.
Okay, a slight cigarette smoke smell is kind of sexy.
For me, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
That's different, and it also depends on the dude.
Exactly.
Because if that dude is a no, then it's gonna be a no, regardless of what smell you have around your body.
Because if there's a little bit of that scent of smoke with a nice cologne, sometimes I do a double take. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, totally.
Exactly.
It's a very rugged, mountain man type of. Yeah, that's. Depends on the dude.
Yeah.
If the guy is super mushy and super hot or whatever, it's your thing, then that is it adds to the entire nickime or vibe of that person.
Exactly.
But if not, then that's not it. For me, I really don't like the smell of cigarettes. Because especially back in the day, not anymore, but several years ago, cigarette smoking within clubs was still a thing. And so...
Oh, yeah. In any bar you went to, it was still there, too. So I would die.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. So that is one thing.
Okay.
Number 2 is intense perfume or cologne. And I mostly attribute this to, elderly folk perfume and cologne. Used sparingly, it's great, but sometimes there's just a cloud of perfume and cologne, and you're just dying.
There used to be somebody who used to work here, and
who shall not be named.
Yeah, who shall not be named. But yeah, it was a girl too, and she would wear a particular, and it was pretty expensive. You could tell what perfume it was just by the whiff of it. But literally, you could tell that she passed. So we would kind of have this joke that, so-and-so's here.
Oh, gosh.
Because you could smell her from the elevator.
Was she, younger?
Yeah, I mean, she was only she was only 2 or 3 years older than I was.
Okay.
And so I literally thought, I have sinuses as well. I have really bad sinus infections a lot.
Oh,
I have allergies and whatnot.
Sensitive nose? Can you smell things really, a dog?
Yeah, but then most of my nose is clogged for most of the year.
So you can't really smell.
Exactly.
Actually,
so I'm really a little bit on the less sensitive side.
Okay.
So for me to know...
It's really bad then.
Yeah, it was she literally poured the bottle on herself.
I tend to find that a lot of people outside of Korea tend to use a lot more cologne and perfume than people within Korea.
Okay.
Just because we don't have that... what is it? That there's a scientific reason that Asians don't have a certain type of BO.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to find or smell that many like strong scents in Korea at least.
Exactly.
Which I'm happy for, or thankful for.
When I first came to Korea, they didn't have deodorant here.
Yeah. And that's still like, it's still kind of harder to find. I
feel that a lot of people are changing. Right. There is more Koreans finding that they do have a little bit of a smell, and so they want to use deodorant. Yeah. But deodorant, that's why you don't use cologne either.
I rarely, and I never use deodorant.
Okay, and what's the last one?
And the last one is the nasty wet laundry / sweat smell. So laundry that you've kind of, let's say for example, either laundry that you haven't done in a while and it stinks, or laundry that you did but forgot to like take it out of the laundry and it kind of goes like sour. Yeah, there's that.
Oh, and then even in Korea, we do have dryers now, but they're not as well systemized as the ones in the States. No. And so we have to dry our clothes out, like hang to dry.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have the perfect apartment or living conditions to air your clothes out, sometimes you do get a sour smell.
You gotta get that spray bottle,
Our listener who sent in the story actually is listening.
Oh my God, hi.
So they're on our YouTube live stream and saying, OMG, you're ready to my story.
Yes, we are.
He's the mentor that only is guiding me at the moment, so I don't talk to him much. But I am only an intern, guys. Plus, I'm not even that close with him.
Gotcha.
I'm stuck with him for the next 4 months.
Okay.
Oh, I even bought him breath spray.
Oh, so you actually did something. What did he say to you when you got him the breath spray? Was he like, oh, what are you trying to say? Like, do I have that?
Yeah. Okay, so what was his reaction?
Yeah, that's what we want to know. In the meantime, while you're doing that, I also feel like this is one of those experiences and stories that a lot of interns go through, not just Chem Sierra, but also it's something that is it's like a rite of passage in a way. Like there are always people or mentors or bosses or things that you work at or work in where they have some sort of tick or some sort of like bad habit that you just kind of have to deal with it as a growing experience. And hopefully you're not going to be an intern forever. You're going to move on to the next step or the next level of whatever career you're in. So a lot of times, like, I know I've had to do it. I know you've had to do it. Like, as simple as like making coffee runs or like if you're a Yeonsupsang or an idol, whatever trainee, you have to like wash all especially if you're maknae or the youngest, you have to like clean the bathroom and you get like the crappiest chores, kind of like that in a way. So did she respond yet? Okay.
Yeah. So my mentor is 40 plus, so he doesn't eat mint candies at all. So you're saying, no, I bought the spray for myself.
So you weren't gifting the breath spray to him. You were giving it to yourself. So my professional, humble opinion / advice for her or him, I think it's a her or a him, is you just got to deal with it.
Okay. So just kind of suck it up.
Yeah, you just got to suck it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna suck for 4 months. You maybe get a little one of those like not Tiger Balm things, but kind of like
the mint bombs.
Like wipe that underneath your nostrils and just kind of. Yeah, you just got to bear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick song break. We're going to come back. We're going to see some more of your messages, and then we're going to move on to our next story. But we do have a track for you. EXID is singing We Are It Up and Down. Live in Seoul. You're listening to K-Poppin here on Arirang Radio. Siska's dropping by to say, hi, Isak. Hi, Marshall. I'm a little bit late, but happy Monday.
Hi, Siska.
Okay, so everybody was talking about dancing to what you were doing. Track.
Yo, I haven't heard that song in a while. So
right?
It was a good one.
And it was on the radio like all the time.
Yeah, oh my God, all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Sierra saying that the reason why they bought the breath mints or like the breath spray was because they got so self-conscious about how that person was feeling that they're like, oh, maybe I'm too.
Yeah, and contributing to the cloud of death around me. Okay, so my Marshall recommendation for her today is sometimes you just gotta grin and bear it. What appears to be a sacrifice today will end up being the greatest investment that you ever made.
Okay. I love it. All right. So, I mean, if even if you wanted to kind of hint at like maybe giving them like a desk diffuser.
What's that?
You know, like a diffuser, like, you know.
Oh, just like a diffuser with.
But like a smaller one.
Yeah.
You know, like you can have it at your desk and it's not too overbearing.
Yeah.
And just be like, you know, it's not a gesture of like it smells. Just be like, you know, it's spring and I bought one and I thought it would be great for you to have one too.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of like little things that I'm sure we can do, like, oh, here's gum, like, whatever. Like, there's always things, but at the end of the day, depending on how bad the breath is, nothing really helps.
And for some people, it actually could be a medical
condition.
issue.
Like, halitosis is an actual condition.
It is.
Of bad breath.
Yeah.
And that really sucks.
Because it's not necessarily coming from their mouth, it's coming from their system.
Yeah. So, rough times for that man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Next question, or next story.
Yes. This is from Aisha from Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia.
Ooh, Aisha. I love that name.
Aisha. Oh, I think there's like songs called Aisha. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure too.
Hello, Isak and Marshall. These days I can't sleep well because of the people who live upstairs.
Oh, no.
They suddenly play the piano at 10 p.m., which I don't think is that late, but for someone like Isak who sleeps at 10 p.m., it might be.
It is.
Turn on the vacuum cleaner on Saturday morning at 6 a.m., which also I feel like you wake up that early anyway, so this is not an issue for you. And one day it seems like they dance violently. Sometimes I run into them and I don't know how to say it because they smile and say hello like good people. What should I do? What do you say? Okay, so this is like the classic dilemma of like the good neighbor, bad neighbor syndrome or situation. And I've had those situations. I've actually been the bad neighbor before, so I feel like I've been on both ends of this kind of sitch at the end of the day. So you know, people have different ways of how they were brought up or how they live their lives, and people have different jobs. And so a lot of times, yes, you could be neighbors, but things could clash. So like even just now, like I was saying how like, oh, 10 p.m., that doesn't seem that late. And 6 a.m., oh my God, that seems so early to me, but that isn't that early for you.
No, it is for me. It is.
Yeah.
6 a.m. is early.
Right. But I mean, like people wake up early for work and, you know, depending on like what you are. So like so neighbors may not always see eye to eye. So what do you do in situations like this? So at the end of the day, you can, not at the end of the day, I don't know why I said that. So you need to confront your neighbor. A lot of times people do certain passive aggressive things, like they'll send a letter to the home association board or like whoever is in charge of like keeping the neighborhood clean, because there's certain like rules.
Yeah, there is.
So they'll like write a letter to somebody, or they'll even write the letter to the neighbor. But most often than not, the letter, even though you try and write it in such like a sweet, like nice way, the person reading it doesn't always hear it that way or read it that way. Instead, it sounds a little snarky or like, ugh, this person thinks they're better than me, whatever, you know? So it's always 100% better to actually confront the neighbor themselves and like talk to them in person, because then they'll hear the tone of your voice, they'll see your facial expressions and realize, okay, this person's not here to fight me or get at me. They just want to like
let you know, like
let me
just
know.
To be aware of.
Exactly.
I had a really bad case. I think for me, I'm pretty good at a lot of the kind of just laid back how sounds are. So even if there is a lot of like construction going on, I'm actually not that.
You're pretty chill.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. When I was a trainee, I was really it was really odd, because what happened was apparently we had some complaints to our apartment complex. And so the lady who I lived with knew this, but I didn't know because I come home so late from practice and everything. So I just showered, walked out, was sitting with the staff member, and all of a sudden somebody knocked on the door at like 11 p.m.
Oh.
It was the cops.
On your door?
At our door. The people downstairs called the cops on us without even saying anything. Right? And so they're just like, yeah, so we got a call that there was a disturbance, and I was just like, I just got home 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I literally just got out of the shower.
Right.
And I was like in my PJs, and all of us were just kind of like...
Come on, man. Yeah, what?
We literally just sat down and started watching TV.
Oh, wow.
And so they're just like, yeah, we had a disturbance. So, yeah, so you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Like,
don't want to go
that is just messed up. Yeah, it's like, come on. And you're scaring people, and just calling the cops on somebody is like... that's just not cool to me. Like, at least talk to me about it and let me know you have an issue or a problem.
Exactly.
Especially if I'm like if I was a bad neighbor or whatever. I may not know that I'm causing a disturbance. I may not know that, maybe I thought we were in like a commune or something and everyone was a hippie or everyone was like super chill. True. And then, but maybe there's that one person who does not feel that way or is okay. So, yeah, so if you are the person having the issue, confront the person about it. Always make sure that your tone of voice, your facial expressions are like in a way where it's not like off-putting or like accusatory, because they may not know. So always try and give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Also, show the neighbor that you're willing to compromise. So like whatever, let's say, for example, this person is playing the piano at 10 p.m. Maybe they can play the piano earlier in the night, or maybe there's a different way they can put on headphones. Like, give alternative options or alternative ways for them to keep doing what they do, but in a way where it doesn't disturb you.
Okay.
What else? Maybe you can let them know to give you an advance notice if they're going to have a party or if they're going to dance violently.
Okay.
Let you know in advance so you can make arrangements, whatever it may be.
Okay.
Get earplugs or, whatever it is. But always you have to let them know at least so that they know that
what's going on.
Yeah.
Exactly. And instead of, like Sis was saying, like cops showing up at your door all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So we had a big song request come in. So we're going to take that quick song request and we're going to come back. We're going to read some of your help, especially when it comes to neighbors and dealing with stuff. And then we're going to be also finishing this up as well. But Abby was sending in this song request from our YouTube live stream. So we're going to take a listen to it. B.I.G. singing 1, 2, 3. We're talking about food during the song break. So Marshall's here in the studio. It's Monday. It's our tea here on K-Poppin. I'm your host, Isak. We're looking at our mic impact. So we were looking at our second story. So Marshall, could you kind of wrap things up for us?
So my Marshall mandation for today is, you only have so much energy for the day. Choose your battles wisely, because if you fight them all, you'll be too tired to deal with the important ones.
Ooh, there we go. So Aisha, I hope that was a little bit of help for you. And it looks like that a lot of our other listeners have been agreeing with what Marshall's been saying about confronting your neighbors first.
Yeah, at least. Give them that credit, at least. Yeah.
But I do know that like different apartment complexes do echo differently.
Right.
Because
of the structure and how it's like made and
recently I live on the 10th floor at the moment. Somebody who recently moved into the 5th floor underneath me just moved in, but they gave us a heads notice that they're going to be working on the bathroom for about a week. I can hear it. And I live on the 10th floor, above them.
5 floors?
Down. Not up, down. And I can still hear it. So,
what are they doing?
Well, I think that with, the bathroom and everything, they're probably doing a lot of, remodeling. They're probably taking a lot of things down. The first day, I could hear them, literally, pulling tile up. And, they took the machine. There was,
the drill. Yeah.
And so, it was pretty loud. And I was like, okay, so I understand why, people even underneath us, so much more underneath us could actually cause some problems.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I've been there. I've been on the other side where there was this new store coming in, underneath where we live. And they were drilling beginning at 7 a.m. And I, as a musician, you work late into the night.
Exactly.
Your days and night, you're a vampire, basically. And so I I was so fed up. I like went down there and yelled at them. Honestly, I just yelled at them. I was like, like.
Yeah, so don't yell.
Yeah, don't do what I did.
With them
Be
first.
calm and talk with whoever's in charge. Be like, is there any way? Just start like 1 hour later. You know, there's ways to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we going to be looking at tip-wise today?
Okay, before we do, I just wanted to bring up, I discovered, I know you talked about them before, and they've been on the show plenty of times, PLT.
Oh, yeah.
Planetarium Records. They are so good.
Right?
So I was just watching whatever like TV thingy, and it went to the next video, and it happened to be a PLT song, and it was.
Was it Hocus Pocus?
Yeah, it was Hocus Pocus, and then I was like, oh my god, this song was so good, and then it automatically went to Blah after that, and I was like, oh my god, this song is even better, and I was like, I know of them, and then I was like, oh my god. Isak. It was, and I was like, oh my god. And so I went down this like rabbit hole and started like researching them and realized that one of them.
Have them at a post party.
I don't know what their deal is or how like crazy expensive they are because we an underground show, so we just trying to put people on. But
he's on Hot Beat.
I don't know any of I don't know who they are, but I am obsessed. I followed all of them on social media. I like followed their thing, and I was like, who are these guys? Where do they come from?
They're so talented.
They're amazing,
right?
I was just so impressed.
So yeah, Villain is one of the guests on Hot Beat. For any of you who don't know, we love to have them in the studio as much as possible. For those of you who are following any of them on social media, it looks like Moti's going to be going on Show Me the Money. He put a video in.
Apparently several of them are. Because clearly I creeped up on all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to do a quick shout out. And Planetarium Records, you guys are flipping awesome, and I definitely need to meet you guys at one point. And since Villain speaks English, we need to work on something together. Exactly. Or have you at my party or something.
Okay.
Okay, so back to
our schedule.
Our regular scheduled programming. So we're going to be talking about dishes today.
So we did talk a little bit about, like tips on actually getting ourselves to do the dishes. Yeah.
So now, once we are in front of the dishes, actually doing them, and tips on doing difficult dishes.
Because I think this is why it kind of stops us from doing the dishes in the first place.
Exactly.
It's like we'll look at a pan and be like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. You're just like, okay, bye. And you just like kind of, and then like walk away. You just like cover it with something and you just peace out.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so.
Okay. So we're going to go over 3 big difficult dish issues.
Okay.
And how to beat that.
Okay.
So, number 1, cleaning out oily dishes or oily pots and pans.
Okay.
And these are like home remedies, I guess, tips.
Okay, so we're not looking at like really harsh
you don't have
products,
to
chemicals.
Go out and get stuff and blah, blah, blah. So you throw some flour, like milkaru flour.
Yeah, like
white
bread
powder.
flour.
Yeah, bread flour. Into a dish or pot with some water.
Okay.
You let it sit for about 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then you rinse it out, and that oil will, I don't know if I think the flour and the water kind of combines to soak up the oil and takes it with it when you rinse it out.
Okay, so like when we make bread, how it absorbs like the oil or butter and everything.
Ooh,
and like all of that.
Look at you connecting that together.
Okay, so that makes sense. And so we're not going to be like scraping the pans.
No.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
You just let it sit and it just kind of does its magic. I'm going to try that later on today.
You know what? Now this is kind of making me a little sad because I recently was cleaning out the pantry. I found like 2 kilos worth of flour that was expired. Like my mom had bought it or I had bought it like 5 houses ago.
Okay.
And it was like all the way
5 houses ago?
Like literally, it was like from 2002.
That's gnarly.
And so I was like, oh, I can't cook with this.
Does it go bad?
Well, I don't think so, but it probably goes stale.
Okay.
But I mean, 2002, 17 years ago.
Okay, that is pretty intense. You could have had like a full-grown child by now.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, Oh, and I felt so bad that I had to throw everything away because it was 2 kilos worth. It was like just such this big bag that I threw away. If I would have known this before, I would have just kept it in like a bag just in say like cleaning worth.
So you already threw it out.
Yeah, I already threw it out.
So it's already bye-bye.
So everybody who has like, you know, for those of you who live alone too, make sure that if you have any like flour that's like been really old, then you can use it for this.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Interesting. Number 2, dishes or pans with, you know, stuff stuck on them. So like really hard things that you have to like, you know, scrape off or like use your nails. So like those are always difficult. The normal way is to get one of those like brush thingies that have like the really hard bristles, and you just kind of like
work at it.
Literally, me and my English. And you just like work at it. But there's another way to get that stuff off is vinegar and coarse salt or rock salt. So like salt that isn't so fine, but like
so not
bigger
table
pieces.
Salt.
Yeah, like bigger pieces. And then you can either cook it in a pot together, and that'll just simply fall off, and then you just rinse it off.
Oh.
It'll fall off. Or what I've also done too is I've actually taken the coarse salt and kind of like scrubbed at it. And that also gets it off. But if it's like a sensitive pan, then that actually takes off like the Teflon or the thing that makes it like
the coating.
Flightable, yeah. So that could not be so good. But if it's like a dish or something, then you can like just do that and rub it off.
Okay.
But if you cook it in the water, then it'll just kind of, once you rinse, it'll just like fall off.
Yeah, I've also done this with a lot of like my more coated pans. Like you don't even have to just put like vinegar and water in there. Just put water in there and like have it on medium to low heat.
Yeah.
Let it cook for
just
like,
sit.
5 to 6 minutes and just like boil it, and then it'll loosen everything up, and then you can just kind of get at it.
Another easy way, I just like use the hottest hot water and then just...
Hannah's saying hot water helps too.
There you go. Yeah, just the hottest hot water and just like falls right off.
Exactly.
It's really not that scary. It's just like annoying because you have to deal with it.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer.
Yes.
Okay, what else?
Last but not least.
Okay.
Blenders. I know, like,
they're so hard to.
Especially the blade part.
Yeah.
Like, it's really scary because you're like, you're always like, think worst case scenario, I'm gonna cut up all my fingers like in the blades, and you know, so many of us make smoothies and like healthy drinks, and sometimes we make peanut butter. Like, and all of those things are really hard to get out.
Exactly.
So I didn't know this, but I watched a video about it. And also found out that this was like an actual thing, is you can put eggshells in a blender, and that just like, and you just like let it run, and it loosens up all that stuff, and takes it, which is crazy. And I was like, what? Is it like a thing? But it really is. Like, it actually works. So either the video is a lie, or, you know. But
it makes sense.
Yeah, and I looked online, and it actually is, like, it's a widely known fact that people use eggshells to do that. And
it's really fun too, especially for those of you who have any plants. I recently found this out. So if you put a little bit of water in the mixer and then blend it up, and you know, all of that, instead of pushing it down the drain, put that water in your pots. And then the eggshells are supposed to help not only prevent the soil from like clumping together too much, so it becomes like really hard so your plants can breathe, but also the eggshells provide calcium for the plant's life. Exactly. Interesting. I had no idea. Just a really quick, a little extra tip here is, if you want to sharpen your blade. Oh, yeah, please. Ice cubes. What? You just put ice cubes in a blender, and that sharpens your blades. Is that real? Isn't that crazy? Oh my goodness. It's unreal. So I'm like, I'm about to like go home and blend up some stuff. I think I need to blend some ice, because I noticed that my blender wasn't doing as much as it used to. Oh. Did you ever actually grind nuts and stuff? Like, would you ever, or have you ever made like your own peanut butter or hummus or anything like that in your blender? I've made soybean noodles, kongguksu. What? In my blender. How? Because, you know, I put the beans overnight, and then I washed them, boiled them, put it in there, and, like, you know, did the whole process of it. So something softer, like hummus and stuff like that, like something softer, actual nuts. Yeah. I haven't. Okay. I always tend to find that my blenders die or break after you use peanut butter or any sort of, like, hard nut. I think you're supposed to, like, do it easily, like gradually. You're supposed to like pulse it a little bit, and then once it starts getting a little bit more of like that consistency, then you just kind of let it go.
I think I just need a better blender at the end of the day.
Maybe. Honestly, when it comes to kitchen appliances, like I'm not going to use it, but I want it.
Right.
It's like, oh, something will come out. I want it. I want it. Okay, so Marsha's going to be giving us some more interesting tips and also some more of our mic impacts. So don't forget to continue to send those in. But it's already time for us to say goodbye.
Already.
So as we send him out of the studio, we've got Xian singing It's All Right. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.